was the best. We didn't, you don't, the rest of it's icing on the cake. It's just a beautiful group effort and about a beautiful story that needs to be told, and it got told, and we were lucky enough to be at the Oscars.
I love Sandra Bullock. Tonight, less than a year after breaking Sandra's heart, Jesse James has an announcement for all of us. He's engaged again. The tattooed biker who cheated on America's sweetheart, reportedly with a slew of women, says he's going to walk down the aisle again and recite those vows. But what woman actually thinks he's going to keep those vows? Jesse plans to say I do to lucky lady Kat Von D, a tattoo artist and TLC reality TV star. Kat was recently spotted on the red carpet wearing a big sparkler on her inked-up hand, and tonight Jesse confirms she said yes. Jesse says, quote, "Despite what people think, 2010 was the best year of my life because I fell in love with my best friend," end quote. I don't know if he sounds like that. Anyway, really, Jesse, do you expect us to buy that? Losing Sandra, losing your brand new adopted baby boy, and having multiple mistresses come forward airing your very dirty laundry, and that is the best year of your life? I guess Jesse has fully given up on his original plan to win Sandra back. Remember this tearful, remorseful, poor me interview? Listen to this from ABC's Nightline.
I never, in a million years, the last person I would ever want to hurt or harm is her or the kids. But the most hurt she's ever been caused is by the person that wanted to protect her. So it's terrible, and she's going to be hurt for a long time. I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about a little bit because, I still really love her and care about her.
Now, one thing's for sure, superstars aside, Jesse certainly has a type. Kat Von D looks an awful lot like Michelle Bombshell McGee. Hey, that rhymes. McGee is the mistress at the center of the scandal that ended his marriage to Sandra Bullock. It's one thing to move on. It's another thing to say the year you cheated on your famous wife is the best year of your life. Shame on you, Jesse, especially after Sandra was so gracious and understanding when you checked into rehab for, let's see, could it be possibly sex addiction? Straight out to Dylan Howard, senior executive editor with RadarOnline.com. Dylan, what is the very latest with this tattooed duo?
Jane, Hollywood is shaking their head. On the shame scale, this is an all-time low. 12 months ago, Sandra Bullock stood on the biggest stage in Hollywood and declared what a great influence Jesse James had been on her. 12 months later, the ultimate slap in the face. He says that the year in which he broke up their family caused so much heartache, he says, was the best year in his life. I've never quite seen a Hollywood scandal quite like this. The gumption of this man to come out and say that, and to make the proposal during awards season, almost 12 months to the day when Sandra Bullock teared up on stage and said that. Just shocking stuff.
You're right. It's almost has it been a year since we started talking about this guy? Oh, my gosh. Now, Michelle Bombshell McGee was, of course, a stripper who blew Jesse's cover, and she joined us right here on Issues a while back. Listen to her.
I did know he was married to Sandra at the time, and when I went to go visit him, we had a discussion, and he said he was separated. He was a separated man. She lived in Austin. He lives in Long Beach. They weren't together.
So you bought it?
I did. I bought it. He looked me dead in the eye and told me that, so I believed him.
So Chloe Melas, senior reporter, HollywoodLife.com, this mistress is saying he lied to her, saying he was separated when he wasn't. Why does Kat Von D think he won't do the same thing to her?
Exactly. Our readers at HollywoodLife.com are saying once a cheater, always a cheater. The ink hasn't even dried on their divorce papers with Sandra Bullock. Kat Von D is out sporting her new 4-carat Neil Lane diamond engagement ring right now. And everybody's wondering, what is she thinking? Coming out publicly talking about her love for Jesse James. And he's saying that this was the best year of his life and that she's the best woman that he's ever met. Let me tell you, Sandra Bullock has donated millions of dollars to the Red Cross, let alone getting standing ovations at schools in New Orleans for raising money after Hurricane Katrina. And he says that Kat Von D is the best person that he's ever met. I think he needs to think again.
Yeah, I agree. And here's my theory about this whole thing. Okay, and it's also my big issue. success syndrome? How does a man who feels overshadowed by his wife because she is so successful, so beautiful, so incredibly talented, so rich, an estimated fortune of over $80 million, how does a husband of a superstar like that compensate for feelings of inadequacy? By cheating. Remember, this scandal broke right after, as you heard Dylan say, she won an Academy Award for her amazing performance in The Blind Side. Check this out.
Give me a minute, Bert.
We're in the middle of practice, Leanne.
You can thank me later. Michael, do you remember when we first met and we went to that horrible part of town to buy those dreadful clothes? And I was a little bit scared and you told me not to worry about it because you had my back. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
This team is your family, Michael. You have to protect them from those
So, Vicki
guys.
Ziegler, you're a family law attorney. You see so many of these cases. She's winning Academy Awards worth, I don't know how many untold millions of dollars. He's doing Monster Garage, where he's like resouping up motorcycles. You get my drift?
Jane, this is... I very much do. It shocks me, I must tell you. But as a divorce attorney, statistics are very interesting. I think this is going to be his fourth marriage. They stopped looking at statistics for divorce after the third, and they basically say 74% of the people that get married for the third time get divorced. Jesse James and people like him keep me in business. A couple words come to mind. Womanizer, a guy that lacks judgment, probably a little unstable. 1 minute he's losing his best friend, Sandra Bullock, America's sweetheart. The next thing he found his new best friend. I mean, I think it's ludicrous. It's poor judgment. He's got children. He should be showing better judgment in this circumstance. And I guarantee I'll be on this show talking about his new divorce one of these days.
Robbie Ludwig, a psychotherapist, though it does seem that men sometimes feel emasculated when their wife is extraordinarily successful and feel they need to compensate and show their masculinity in some other area by conquest, let's face it.
Well, that's true, but he also knew who he was marrying when he met Sandra Bullock. It's not like she all of a sudden became successful. We don't know if the cheating was because he somehow felt intimidated or inferior, or if this is just who this guy is. There are some men who really believe they are not meant to be monogamous. And there are some women who accept that about the men that they date. Is that the case in Jesse James' situation? Maybe yes, maybe no. But I think it says a lot about his character or lack thereof. Even if he felt that this was the best year of his life, which I highly doubt, to say it under the circumstances is just such poor judgment and truly unkind.
Well, you've got to represent the male gender here, Dylan Howard, but that's a tough job with all these strong women that you're facing. But I got to ask you about the kids involved in all this, because that's what really gets me. He's got a daughter, Sunny, that I read was very, very attached to Sandra. And she, of course, while she was with him, adopted this beautiful baby boy that she took with her when she found out about the cheating. So what's going to happen to those kids?
Well, I mean, Louis has been living a very secluded lifestyle from Jesse James, even though he was involved very early on in the adoption process. Sonny, you've got to feel for the kids in this. Here you have Sonny, who's torn between Jesse James' former wife, Janine Lundermuller, as well. And those pair are duking it out in court almost on a weekly basis. So she's torn between her birth mother, Sandra Bullock, and now she's going to have another stepmother. Now, you asked about defending the male race. I'm sorry, you can't defend the indefensible. Here, you've got someone who says he loves Sandra Bullock. I'm ashamed. I really am quite ashamed to think that a male could treat someone who he says he loves, and he said that in an interview recently about Sandra Bullock, that he could treat someone like this. It's just shocking.
Can you say CAD? Lisa, Tennessee, your question or thought, Lisa?
I just think that Sandra Bullock ought to thank Kate D every day. She doesn't trashy man like Jesse James anyway.
I think you're so right.
From the beginning, thank her every day, because that's the kind of trash she deserves.
Well, listen, I agree with you. She got away just in the nick of time. Now, Jesse says he fell in love with Kat because when the world turned its back on him, Kat stood behind him. But if I remember correctly, didn't Jesse follow Sandra when Sandra left him and moved to Texas? Didn't he also move to Texas, Chloe, kind of following her? I'm kind of guessing that maybe she said, I don't want anything to do with you, and that's when you know,
Exactly. So, you know, Sandra Bullock goes to seek refuge in her native Austin, where she loves to just go and just be herself. And what does Jesse James do after he publicly cries on Nightline saying that he's going to win America's sweetheart back? He goes and follows her, gets a house pretty much right down the road from her. And now what? He's going to bring Kat Von D down there, his fourth potential wife down there, to live near Sandra Bullock. I mean, it's just absolutely awful. The women, our readers at HollywoodLife.com, they're absolutely enraged. I mean, he is doing nothing to steer clear of this bad boy cheater image that he has created for himself by himself.
I gotta say, Jesse, sometimes it's better to just say nothing. If you really want to marry Kat Von D, do it. But did you have to say that 2010 was the best year of your life, dude? Okay, right off into the sunset on one of those motorcycles. Thank you so much, fantastic panel. Why was this YouTube sensation in court today? I'm gonna have the details.